evening. This meeting of the Spencer Board of Aldermen is called to order. The Board of Aldermen meets on the second Tuesday of each month at 6 o'clock p.m. with the pre-agenda meeting the Thursday prior at 5:30 p.m. The primary purpose of the pre-agenda meeting, tonight's meeting, is to set the consent agenda, hold public hearings, and receive other presentations. Regular meetings focus on action items, departmental reports, and other business. Both meetings are open to the public and held in the Hilda B. Palmer Boardroom in Town Hall, located at 460 South Salisbury Avenue. A printed copy of the entire agenda packet is available in the H.B. Palmer Room for public use. Please find meeting agendas, minutes, and a link to view the meetings live or on demand at spencernc.gov. Yeah, well, there's a whole lot after it. So, would everyone please bow their head for the invocation? And Miss Alderman Sledge is going to do that.
In light of the struggle and concern here and around the world, tonight I ask guidance for our local government, community leaders, and all who provide local services, those who work with young or elderly people, our schools, colleges, and universities, and our emergency and rescue organizations. Keep us, O God, from pettiness. Let us be large in thought, in word, and deed. Let us be done with fault-finding and leave off self-seeking. May we put away all pretense and meet each other face to face without self-pity and without prejudice. May we never be hasty in judgment and always generous. Teach us to put into action our better impulses, straightforward and unafraid. Let us take time for all things to make us grow calm, serene, gentle. Grant that we may realize it is the little things that create differences, that in the big things of life we are at one. And may we strive to touch and to know the great human heart of us all. And, O Lord God, let us forget not to be kind.
Thank you, Alderman. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Some of you have probably noticed our mayor is absent tonight due to a work engagement, and Alderman Muhammad and Alderman Howe are not with us tonight either. First on the agenda, but there is a quorum. Yes, we checked on that. Sorry. Yeah. Is our police chief here? He's going to introduce. Well, I guess we can. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you want to come forward, and are you going to introduce our new police officer? Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. And thank you for coming tonight. Okay, we have 3 public hearings tonight, so we will start with that. And the first public hearing is proposed ordinance to create a Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. We will now open the floor to hold this public hearing. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor President. I wanted to just give a brief summary of the information I provided at the last meeting for a couple of folks that were not here.
Okay.
And so, Mike, if you can pull that up, that might be helpful. But generally speaking, the board has been in pursuit of the creation of a Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. It is fundamentally a function of our planning efforts to proceed with a recreation plan for the town of Spencer. If you would advance to the next slide, please. We have 3 adopted plans that we are utilizing to frame how our recreation activities for Spencer might go forward those being the Parks and Recreation Master Plan that was originally adopted in 2022 and updated in 2023. Also, the Creating Outdoor Recreation Economies Plan, which was adopted just last year, and the Town of Spencer and East Spencer Comprehensive Bicycle and Pedestrian Plan, which has been in operation, I suppose, since about 2015. That sounds like roughly. So we've been using those plans as our guide. Next slide, please. Hard to read this, but generally speaking, the objective of the core plan was to present this idea to the Town of Spencer's Board of Aldermen, and that we would proceed with hopefully adopting an ordinance that would create the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, that board would adopt bylaws and then provide administrative support to the town board, and we would potentially recruit members from our core work group to serve on the advisory board. Next slide, please. I will mention that during the time since we have adopted the core plan, we have had a lot of activities that will require the attention of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, including the startup of the Spencer Town Park, the donation of the Carter property on 11th Street, which will conceivably be park office, park maintenance, restroom facilities, educational facility, community activity center, and we were successful in receiving a grant from the Robertson Foundation to do the feasibilities, or actually the adaptive reuse plan for that building. We were also successful in receiving funds for the Grants Creek Blueway on 7th Street, which will be a trailhead with parking area and a kayak canoe launch, streamside launch at Grants Creek that will provide a connection along Grants Creek from Spencer to the Yadkin River State Trail. We have also submitted an application to the North Carolina Parks Great Trail State Program for the Rocky Branch Loop Trail. This is the about 8,000, or more than 8,000 feet of trail within the Standback Educational Forest, and this is to be built on the land that was part of the 45 acres that we recently acquired from the Three Rivers Land Trust. And then we are in the process of working on the position design worksheet for the Piedmont Triad Council, Regional Council, for the position of active living coordinator, and that's underway. And we're getting sort of down to the last parts of that. Hopefully, the position will be hired in March or April of 2025. Next slide, please. What we're proposing as part of the ordinance that you will actually consider for adoption on Tuesday night is that we have a board that is made of 5 members with 4-year staggered terms, and they would meet monthly. And they would advise the Board of Aldermen on matters related to Parks and Recreation in coordination with the town administration. We would utilize the adopted plans as sort of the guide for this organization, for this group, in suggesting strategies to the town board and the town administration, and hopefully there will be funding made available through our routine budgetary processes. Let's see. I've mentioned coordination with community groups. That we would potentially provide proposals for additions or alterations of recreation properties, that they would use the master plan as sort of a guide for how we might add additional recreational facilities for the community, that we would potentially conduct educational programs, and then we would cooperate with state, federal, and local governments and the pursuit of recreational funding opportunities, that we would look for grant opportunities and programs that we can plug in to potentially forward recreational activities within the town of Spencer. So we, at the last meeting back in January, the board set tonight, February 6th, as a public hearing with the idea that we conduct the public hearing tonight. There would be no action taken, just hear from the public, and then potentially adopt the ordinance on Tuesday, February 11th. So having said all of that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, but to let you know, there are a couple of folks that are here to speak for the public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions? Okay, then we'll proceed with our comments, and first we'll have Mr. Bob Pendergrass from 1107 South Rowan Avenue. Thank you, Mr. Pendergrass, for coming tonight.
Thank you, ma'am. I just want to come here in support of this proposal tonight, and a little bit of background about me. I have 27 years, a little bit more than 27 years of experience working for Rowan County, most of that time working with Parks and Recreation. I was the Nature Center supervisor at Dan Nicholas Park for 25 of those years. And I'm a little bit biased, I guess, from being in that position, but I think I can honestly say that Parks and Recreation can bring a lot to a community. I would also like to say that I'm very impressed with what staff has already done to pursue things that are already happening and in process for Parks and Recreation and for the citizens here in Spencer. And I live at 1107 South Rowan Avenue. I bought that property about 2.5 years ago. Specific reason that I bought that property is that it was adjacent to Standby Forest. And I spend a lot of time there walking the trails. I run into people every day that are taking advantage of the opportunities that the town has already put together. And some of those people are not from Spencer. There's a guy that I see regularly that comes to do wildlife photography that comes from another county to do it. And so there's a lot of opportunity present, in my opinion, and what Spencer has and can in the future offer in addition to what they already have. In my opinion, there's a unique opportunity with our proximity to the river, the things that have already been put in place, and the projects that are in process right now to draw people to Spencer. And everybody that comes here adds to the economic benefit of the community, and everything about Parks and Recreation adds to the quality of life for the citizens that already live here. So I think it's a win-win proposition to move forward and expand. These guys, the staff, have done a lot already, but I think that the next step is what the proposal is before you is to become more formal with an advisory committee and a specific individual that can focus on so many things. Worked a lot myself with grants and things for Rowan County, and actually was involved somewhat in the development of Standby Forest. And those things take time, and staff only has so much time, so more staff can get more accomplished. And I'm pleased to see that we're considering this proposal, and I want to be here today to support it moving forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for your interest and input. And thank you for your service to Rowan County. Okay, next is Miss Vivian Kuntz from 809 5th Street.
Hi, thank you everybody for allowing me to be here this evening. I don't know that I have a whole lot more to say that Bob didn't say, but I will also give a little bit of history. First and foremost, and most importantly, I am a long-term resident here of Spencer. My family's lived here for over 20 years now, and we are raising our family here. Secondly, I do have, as Bob does, quite an extensive recreation background, as I had the privilege to serve the citizens of Salisbury and Rowan County as the event coordinator for the Salisbury Parks and Recreation Department, and I've been with that organization for 18.5 years. So very passionate about recreation and what the opportunities that recreation can bring to a community. I'm not so sure that people understand how much of a lifeline recreation really is, and that is one area that can literally touch every member of your community in one way, shape, or form, because there's so many ways to offer so many things for everybody. So I just want to echo everything that Bob said and say that I am fully in support and very excited that the town of Spencer is looking into formulating this board and moving forward with eventually, hopefully, a full-fledged Parks and Rec department, so that we can continue to serve this community and showcase all the amazing things that you're already working on. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing what's to come.
Thank you, Vivian. Appreciate your interest and input. Is there anyone else from the audience that wishes to add a comment? If not, is there a motion to close this public hearing?
Madam Chair, I move to close the public hearing.
Thank you, Alderman Sledge. Second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. And Alderman Moody. All in favor? This public hearing is now closed. Now we're going to our second public hearing, traffic control text amendment. And Mr. Blunt is going to give us a narrative about this one. Thank you.
A very quick narrative, no PowerPoints, because this is a very simple situation. And it came about as we were proceeding with the planning and approval of plans for the Hawkins Meadow Townhome project. Our development ordinance has a chapter on streets, and in that chapter it tells everybody that the developer is responsible for providing signs on the roads, speed limit signs, stop signs, street name signs. But in Chapter 7, there is a checklist of things that are to be submitted as a part of the plans that we review and approve. Nowhere in that checklist does it tell them to submit a traffic control plan. We're trying to remedy that problem for this project and future projects. The developer has no problem with developing the plan. Their engineers are going to do that. But this would help us on future projects to have that as one of the items that's submitted with the plan package for us to review and approve. And obviously, this is not as exciting as Parks and Recreation. So I don't think you,
Just as necessary.
unless
though.
I can get Joe to come up and speak on it, I don't think you're going to have anybody at your public hearing.
Maybe Joe get some funding for it or something like that.
I'll just stand to the side and see if anybody wants to come up and talk.
Okay, we don't have anyone signed up, but is there anyone out in the audience that wishes to speak? If not, this public hearing is closed and we'll move to public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry. We have to have a motion to close.
I make a motion to close
Thank
the
you,
public
thank you.
hearing.
Thank you, Alderman Moody. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Sledge. All in favor? Okay. This public hearing is closed.
Mayor Pro Tem, before we proceed, I also wanted to make a note that Town Manager Frenzies is with us on Zoom this evening, although he is not here in person. Okay. From a
Okay.
training, he's with us.
Thank you. Okay.
And he has been present with us all day by email, so
Oh, good.
he has not abandoned you.
Okay, Mr. Blunt, this is Chapter 93 Penalty Text Amendment.
And I should have said for the previous one and for this one, these have been properly advertised in the newspaper for the public hearing. These and another one will go before the planning board on Monday before they come back to you on Tuesday for your approval. So procedurally, we've done everything right. On this one, in Chapter 93, where the nuisance ordinance resides in our Code of Ordinances, the penalty phase in that chapter tells you that the way violations of the nuisance ordinance and any other parts of that chapter are handled are as misdemeanors, criminal misdemeanors. And that's a fairly extreme step to take for somebody who's got a little trash on the front porch or hadn't mowed the grass. And it's sort of counterintuitive, but it really, the criminal justice system doesn't impose penalties very quickly for those kinds of violations. So staff came and asked us, our code enforcement staff asked that we make it so that they could also use our civil fines process, which is described in Chapter 35. If you read deeply enough in Chapter 35, it actually already says that you can use it for other violations throughout the Code of Ordinances. But to make it clearer and simpler to understand, what we're suggesting is a text amendment that clearly states out that at the discretion of the code enforcement officer, he can apply the civil fines process for violations of Chapter 93 and or the criminal misdemeanor charges that are already listed. So this is just a minor text amendment to clear up some of that language.
Okay, thank you. There are no names signed up to speak at this public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address this issue?
Mr. Blunt, I do have one question, if I could. We had something sometime back about, should we set fines for misdemeanors?
We had SB 300, which was an attempt to decriminalize municipal charges, violation of municipal ordinance charges. That is something that we have looked at for the whole code of ordinances. But in that case, what they're trying to do is get us to get rid of the misdemeanor charges. At the discretion of the board, we can leave those in, but you have to spell out that it is a specific charge and what the fine is. That sort of got put on hold for us as we were doing the codification of our existing set of codes, which is still in process. It's a long, long process. When we get the new code back written in proper form, then we will go through and decide, or you will decide, we'll make recommendations on places where we should drop the misdemeanor from the language and just do civil fines.
But for the time being, it still needs to be on the books as a violation of that 93.27.
It would remain at this time. Quite honestly, it will rarely ever be used. And by allowing the civil fines to be used, that's the process they will take.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? Is there a motion to close this public hearing?
Madam Chair, I move to close the public hearing.
Thank you. Alderman Sledge, second.
Second.
Thank you. Alderman Moody. All in favor? This public hearing is closed. Okay. So that's all three of them, right? Okay. We're now going to move on to the review of our February agenda. If you will please review your agenda, and if there's anything you feel should be moved to the consent agenda, would you please make note of that now?
Madam Chair, I think we can certainly move the minutes
Okay.
to the consent agenda.
Okay. Anything else that's
How about number 11?
I'm sorry, what?
How about number 11?
Number 11.
That presentation about the street.
Street.
No.
That
I think that needs to be public because it's going to affect a bunch of people. They need to hear about it. In my opinion.
What is the board's wishes on this, Erin?
I'm good with keeping it a regular agenda for
Okay.
transparency.
I guess you're gonna get overruled this time, Mr. Miller. Because I agree with keeping it on the regular agenda too.
If you want to fight about it.
Pat wants to know if you want to argue about it. No.
Okay, is there anything else that anyone sees that could be moved to consent agenda? Okay. All right, then we need a volunteer for the invocation. Do I have a volunteer for that? On Tuesday.
I can do that if you want me to.
You did a good job. Do you want to do it again? Okay. Thank you, Alderman Sledge. Are there any additional comments for the minutes that have been reviewed by Ms. Sledge for January 9th, 14th, and 30th? And I think we've already said we would keep them on the consent agenda, but does anyone see anything that needed to be changed or corrected or added? Okay. Are there any additional comments for any other items on the consent agenda, and if the board would like to remove any? We had a consider adopting budget ordinance 24-10.010, accepting 2 donations to the Spencer Police Department. Consider adopting budget ordinance 24-10.011, accepting donation to the Spencer Fire Department. Consider adopting resolution 2501, establishing a memorandum of understanding with the North Carolina Commerce Main Street and Rural Planning Center for planning session facilitation.
Could that go on the consent? That's just a matter of having someone from that that group facilitate our
Annual planning.
annual planning.
I agree. I think that could go on the consent agenda.
I consider approving contracts of FY24RH CPAs PLLC contract amendments.
That's for our audit, choosing our auditor.
Yeah.
And some adjustments, I think, to fees that we have. You think move on consent?
I say consent. What do y'all think? Okay. And finally, on that, consider adopting budget ordinance 24-10.012 mural project budget amendment.
Oh, we have a
visitor.
visitor.
Yeah, we have a dignitary. You want to have this on the consent agenda also, the mural?
Are y'all able to hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Coming through loud and clearly.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm. In case it's helpful, if you need any explanation on any of these items, these are ones we, as staff, recommended for the consent agenda. But if you have questions about any of them, we can certainly address those questions.
I don't either. So we're fine to go with all of those then on the consent agenda, okay? Okay, at this time, we need to make any additions or deletions to the agenda, and we do know that we have one addition. This is a great addition, accepting a $50,000 North Carolina Railroad Company Economic Development Micro Grant, and that is Budget Ordinance Amendment 24-10.013. So we need to add that and decide where we want to add it. I would like for it to be on regular agenda so that we can tell the public about it, because I think anytime we get a grant like this, we need to let them know.
Do you want to put it on early on the agenda?
Would be a good thing to celebrate at the
Perhaps
beginning.
after public comment before the consent agenda?
That'd be good. Well, how's everybody feel about that? Everybody will be zoomed in and paying attention. I think that's a good idea. Okay. That will be. Okay, thank you. Okay, and then we'll very quickly go through the agenda and see if we need to fine tune anything on this. Next will be recognitions. Mayor Williams is recognizing Dion Dixon. I'm recognizing students of the second quarter from both Northland Elementary and Northland High School, and I probably will add Ryland Furr from Northland High School too on that. Does anyone else have any recognitions they want to make that evening? Okay. If you think of someone between now and then, you can always let Anna know and she can add it. Okay, next parts of the agenda. consider adopting ordinance 25-03, creating the Park and Recreations Advisory Board, which we just talked about. Number 9, consider adopting ordinance 25-04, traffic control plan text amendment. Number 10, consider adopting ordinance 25-05, chapter 93 penalty text amendment. Number 11, receive presentation 3rd Street addressing issue. Okay, and then we have our departmental reports: planning, code enforcement, police, fire, public works, finance, library.
Madam Chair, we might want to, we'll ask if, Chief Fowles would like to introduce his new employee at the meeting on Tuesday.
Yes,
Do you have an answer to that?
Yeah, we'll find out before Tuesday.
Yeah.
Is that okay if you think?
yeah,
yes,
because
that's-
since we weren't able to do that tonight, it'd be probably better to do it Tuesday night anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Alderman. Next, the town manager report. And then we'll have requests and comments by the mayor and board. Any questions, any additions or deletions, corrections, anything on the agenda? Okay, and then on Tuesday night, if there's a need to go into an executive session, and then will be followed by adjournment. Okay, our agenda then is set. Is there a need to go in executive session tonight?
We don't have our.
Okay.
I was gonna say, we don't have our
Yeah.
attorney, so.
Yeah, that's a good reason not to, either one of them. Okay. Is there a motion then to adjourn the meeting?
I'll move to adjourn this meeting.
Thank you, Alderman Sledge, second.
Okay, it's gonna die if nobody seconds it. We'll stay in session,
Mr. Miller
y'all.
wants to meet a while.
There has to be a second for discussion. So
Really?
if there is no
Yeah.
second, it
I'm
doesn't
gonna wrap
happen.
the scale.
Second.
Okay,
Thank you.
Trying to give him a
Alderman
turn to chat tonight.
All in favor? Meeting is adjourned.